Yes, sir. What is up, everybody? Can we do a quick audio check? Let me know if everything is fine. What's up, Cole? Hope you're doing well, man. Yo, what's up, chat? Timo V, Karma, what's up, man? Good evening. All good? All right, great. Let's give it a minute or two, and then we'll kick this off. What's up, Daytona? Good to see you, man. So, what have you guys been up to? Anything good this weekend, or just chilling? Did anybody caught this trait, the Aster trait? This obviously I didn't, obviously, but seems that my entire timeline caught the generational low here. Good to see. Good to see. You went clay shooting? Damn, that's good. That's good. Prep. All right. Let's get this back in. You got a 4x? Oh, that's nice, man. Well played. I'm thinking about maybe getting some volume there on their exchange, but I see, a lot of people are having issues with withdrawing shit, so I don't know. But with crypto, the bigger the scam, the better it pumps. So might just throw some shackles at it. Liquidated, trying shorting Aster. Good lord. Well, you live to die another day, bro. Another day in Valhalla tomorrow. Glad to catch the live one again. Well, it's good to see you as well, Patrol. Good to see you. One more minute, then we're wrapping it up. We're gonna take a look at Bitcoin, obviously. Give a bit more time for some people to join, so everybody can start at the exact same time, so we could do a bit of a Q&A at the end. We do have some interesting stuff. Hype is looking good, back down to 50. Yeah, I mean, it was, like there was a trade going on, short hype, long Aster, but it's weekend as well, so you might as well just spend some time with the fam, right? What's up, Scav? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Okay, so we got a good amount of people with us today. Hope you're all doing well and had a fantastic weekend. As always, we're going to be prepping for the week ahead, where we want to know exactly where we want to be trading Bitcoin. Now, for that, we're going to be using VWAP. We're going to be using TPO. You guys know the goodies. Before we start this off, this stream is obviously sponsored by Bybit. Now, if you like what you see during the stream and you want daily access to these streams, plus our templates and indicators, you can register an account here under our affiliate link, and then you can connect through the website. So you can either choose Bybit or you can choose Blowfin, and then you can select your exchange user ID, click Bybit or Blowfin, connect, and when does the access actually start? It starts right after you reach a 500k in trading volume. This is very important because I get a lot of DMs about people, yo, I made an account, why am I not getting access? Well, obviously you need to start trading, right? Otherwise it's not a good deal for me, right? So with that being said, let's take a look at the prep, run things down, and then we'll wrap up some trades at the end of this stream. So first things first, today it is the 21st, right? Not 19 anymore. Impact News events, we do have some heading into this week. On Monday, we've got none. Tuesday, we've got services PMI, Powell speaking again, and the afternoon. And then we've got GDP unemployment claim. So pretty stacked week. I mean, FOMC last week was a bigger week, but still pretty decent. So on Monday, I'm gonna be writing this as none. But for the remainder of the week, you want to be positioning around these events. That brings me towards market profile. Let's open up Sierra charts because we've got some important developments here. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm using a 4-tile layout where we have a daily layout here. This is a weekly profile. This is a monthly profile. And this is the exact same layout as we have right here. But I'm going to use this to form a composite. So first things first. What is the composite section? So what is it saying? Let's open it up. And let's see. I would say that right off the bat, we have a range that's forming here, right? It is not the cleanest interaction with value with the previous day, especially within the middle part of that curve. However, I think if we try to merge everything together and we see how that looks as a composite, we might just have a good looking profile. So let's count that together. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days where Bitcoin is essentially trying to break away from value, but it is failing to do so, right? So it's a 9-day composite. Usually when Bitcoin breaks away from a 9-day composite and it accepts above or below, it's an indication of, a genuine shift in condition. And that's often going to be a trend for a while. So I don't necessarily think that it is a super good idea to fade the first breakaway from value on the first day, because at that point, I think we're going to go at least towards the naked point control there. And then conversely, if we're, a bullish case, for example, would be it tries to break below value, cleans up the anomaly here, and then reclaims it as support as a proper long, right? But let's see how it looks first. So let's merge this, merge profile begin, right click, merge profile end, bang, 9-day composite. Let's wrap up the value area high and low right here. So this is the composite that we're working with. We've got a nice beefy point of control there. We are opening up within that composite. Now, one of the rules of market dynamics is that whenever we open within value, this is considered our bearish line in the sand. This is considered our bullish line in the sand. So whenever we start to trade around value area high, we look for potential shorts. And whenever we start trading towards value area low, we look for potential longs. Conversely, let's say that the market accepts above value. This becomes a shifted condition at which this becomes our bullish line in the sand. So we look for continuation trades towards anomalies, right? We look for continuation trades towards anomalies, okay? So we're smack that in the middle. It's a pretty decent looking profile here with the main distribution in the middle. No weird gaps here, so I think it is okay. 9-day composite. We want to be aware of that. Then we're moving towards a regular chart, the daily. I want to plot out the anomalies. Do we have any anomalies nearby in the form of a poor high, poor low, naked point of control? Why do I want to be aware of that? I want to know these anomalies because they are often an indication that price want to revisit that area to at least rebalance the anomaly, right? It's like a game where we have a poor low, right? For example, here, poor low, next day comes up, we take out that poor low. So I would say we've got a poor high there, naked point of control there. We've got a poor high there, naked point of control, poor low, naked point of control. So it is basically stacked above and below, meaning it doesn't really matter to me which side we take first. I do believe that the bigger range here is set right there from low towards high. Now, if we're getting, for example, a P-shaped profile there with a point of control at the high and we close back below, that could be a first sign of weakness of absorption at a key contextual level. This is confluent with a VWAP price point as well. So, in terms of a bearish invalidation, this would be it for me based on TPO. In terms of a bullish invalidation, we've got a very important price point here in terms of rolling VWAP. If we get down there, right, and then we fail to break below the composite, clean up the anomalies and leave all of these anomalies intact, we have reason to go higher, right? So I want to be aware of these. So that's it on the daily. Now on the weekly, if I were to zoom this out to show you guys, this is the weekly. If we go all the way back in time, these are 5 weeks. Undo all merges within this profile. So these were the previous 5 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that Bitcoin had overlapping value within the all-time high distribution, right? We took out that high and then we basically traded all the way down towards previously established value where we formed the low. And then we went back towards the trend. So we basically go from range bound condition, imbalance down, range bound, imbalance up, and now we're range bound again, right? And it isn't really a surprise they're performing a new value at that composite value area low. So let's make sure that we're getting this right here and then profile and the composite. What's important here to me is we are trading below that 5-week value area low. So for me, even though that this is kind of choppy throughout that composite, we still have pretty good interactions here with the value low from the previous 5 weeks. We still have a naked point of control there, right? And this value area low is confluent with, let me show you, the value area high that we have here on the current 9-day composite. So that adds another layer of confluence to me where I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If next week Bitcoin tries to break above the composite and then it fails miserably and we close back below, that's going to be bearish. Now, I think I can show you an example of that. I think it might be this one. Yeah, so look. This is the composite value low, right? We accept below the composite value low. We try to break back when in value, bearish structure, and then we rotate all the way down towards the lows. Then we had this really sharp thin move upwards. Everybody got super bullish. However, right, we were still trading at that value low. So when price then shows you, all right, we can't really reclaim this as support, it's a sign that we're getting another spike lower, right? And that same value area low is now what we have right here. So a thin move up followed by a large rejection would actually be weak, at which I'd expect this low to be taken next. That brings me towards the monthly. So the reason why we're not really trading higher and the reason why Bitcoin hasn't been trading at 120K yet is because we've got a 2-month composite here. These are the previous 2 months merged together. And that volume weighted point of control is capping upside. So heading into next week, this point of control from the previous 2 months is going to be extremely important. If there's going to be a big washout higher and then we reclaim that point of control, that's going to be an optimal short, right? Because there is a monthly value, a quarterly value up here as well, which I will show you guys in a bit. So if I were to summarize this all, let's get everything back within its own pane so we can actually see what we're doing. Let's get this right there, right there, right there. All right, let's go back towards the prep. Market profile. We have formed a 9-day composite value area with a value area high at 116,480 and the value area low at 114,920. We then have poor highs as a draw, right, on price at 118. We have marked out a naked point of control at 114K, which is below, and 116,220, which is above. And then we have failed to hold the 5-week val as support. Do want to do a quick reminder for myself, confluent with the 9-day composite value high, because why do I want to remind myself of this? Because if we have the 5-week value low as a bearish line in the sand and we start to trade higher, the 5-week value low is slightly lower than the 9-day composite value high. So the 9-day value high is up here, right? Let's say that we start trading above. Should we really become super bullish? No, we need to wait for price to auction above the 9-day, right? Above the 9-day is the indication, okay, we're now trading above the 5-week value low. We're now trading above the 9-day. This is where we want to get into a potential trade, right? If rhythm is lining up, right, where we're getting a nice rhythm, nice break above value to indicate a genuine shift in condition, we get long for a move higher, yeah? Now, that brings me towards the longer term VWAP. If you have questions regarding TPO, regarding this section, let me know in the comments right now. I'm moving forward, but I'll get back to those questions at the end of the stream. So VWAP, what is the yearly telling me? For those, again, new to the channel, yearly VWAP, quarterly VWAP, monthly VWAP, and the weekly VWAP. The VWAPs are these lines, right? It's this line. And then we've got a standard deviation 1, standard deviation -1, which is essentially mimicking value from TPO. So we're using the same rule set as TPO based on VWAP, okay? So we are now trading above the value area high, right? Developing value area high on the yearly VWAP. And we're also trading back above previous year's standard deviation 3. Essentially not super important, but I think the fact that we have developing year value high slowly creeping upwards, that's a good sign, because when the new quarterly closes, this quarterly time frame, we've got like 9 days left of this quarter, and when that quarterly value closes, that will become the most important aspect in terms of higher time frame trades, because this right here is looking good, right? As long as we're trading above developing value, it's okay. Now, right here on the quarterly, if we're taking a look at this level right here was the previous quarterly value high. Now we got slightly front run on this level, but it marked the actual low before continuation higher, right? This previous quarterly value high was the quarterly value high from 2 quarters ago, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Mark the actual lows every time that we revisit that level. We accept above the previous quarterly value high, boom, expansion, right? So in this case, we are trading within developing quarterly value. So to me, that's an indication that when we have a new quarterly close within, I think maybe 9 or 10 days, who knows, right? But when we get the new quarterly close, that will give us a new previous quarterly value, meaning this resistance, this is support, and this is dependent on where price is trading at that point in time. So if Bitcoin is trading above, this is going to be support. If Bitcoin is trading below, this is going to be resistance, right? And we can already see the relevance of that price point because we are unable to accept below. Worst case scenario for Bitcoin would be to revisit, I'd say 112-ish, right? And then it needs to form a higher low. So let's say that we do this, right? We do this and then we get upside, right? This would be where I'd be like, okay, this is the best bang for your buck. But also, do I think it would be bullish for Bitcoin to revisit that low? No, I think we should be holding this for continuation higher. What will be the ultimate bullish confirmation, in my opinion, is when we can accept above previous quarterly value high. That means trading above 120K, which is again confluent with that older 5-week composite. So that is the quarterly. The quarterly is looking good as long as we maintain 115 as support. Then we're moving towards the monthly right here. Same story. We have been trading above if I were to draw this as a profile, right? This would have been the distribution, value high, value low, right? Bitcoin was unable to accept it within. We then finally got the break within value, retested support there, and then we got the continuation high towards the point of control, acceptance above, and now we're finding, some sort of an over-under structure here. So I would say, based on the H4, this down close candle right here, right? Like we could even do a bit of this, right? But as long as this holds the support, I'm favoring one move higher into the previous month value high, right? Because as per system, I need to be bullish whilst we are trading above the previous month VWAP. Now, worst case scenario for me, well, not necessarily worst case, but I would allow Bitcoin to do this, but then the next H4 or the H12, at least at its latest, right? The H12 will have to close above VWAP. And if we do that, I think the actual low is in and we're going to go towards 120K next, right? That will be the most bullish one. But, until then, it's looking good. We're still trading above previous month VWAP. And then we have the weekly. So the weekly is a bit more messy here where, this was during FOMC. It was really fun to trade, right? Nice illiquid moves higher. We got someone aping 60 mil at the high right there. And then it puked immediately, forming a nice high volume 30-minute rotation at previous week value high, which is why this was the exact low, right? They're still interested at that same price point. And now we're hovering above previous week value high. Is this looking super strong? In my opinion, no, it is not really looking super strong. But, I think based on the quarterly, the monthly, and the yearly, I'm favoring a bit more upside as long as you're maintaining that support. So let's wrap everything up and see what we have in the end, because we've covered a lot. Long-term VWAP, we are rotational, right, within the developing quarter value. And as a note to myself, new value within plus minus 9 days. Value high and value low, new line in the sand. All right, we are rotational within upper half previous month value, and then we have previous week value high capping downside for now. Really important for now, right? We don't know how long this is gonna hold because it's starting to look like compression into this level, right? And at that point, it's easy to break through it. Brings me towards rolling VWAP. Bitcoin, regular chart. Let's hide everything. And then I want you to have the rolling VWAP. Let's have that. H12 reset chart view. No, not this one. I want to have this one. My bad. So in this case, we see 7-day rolling VWAP, 9-day rolling VWAP, 30-day rolling VWAP, and then we've got the yearly we've got the yearly rolling VWAP right here. Right? The yearly rolling VWAP there. The fact that we're trading back above the 90-day rolling VWAP is an indication to me that why I think this structure here needs to be capping downside. Like if we're gonna go for a sweep of this low, that okay, but show me strength above the 90-day rolling VWAP, because if we're gonna lose this as support, I don't necessarily think that the 30 days is gonna be capping it. And then if we accept below there, then we're gonna go for right lower for sure, right? So let me see if I can find an example on a good interaction with that 90-day once we start to reclaim it. For example, right here, resistance. Then we finally break above. We start to trade at the 90-day rolling VWAP. Everybody getting super bearish because, we just spiked this high. We must be going for this low. From a trend-based perspective, I'd say nah, because the 90-day is still the bullish line in the sand, right? So we're going to be looking actively for a good setup to form here, right? Maybe a swing failure pattern, maybe a reclaim of a previous high into a bullish breaker, right? Whatever your preference is. But from a higher time frame perspective, that's what I'm going to be looking for. So that being said, if we're going towards an H4 chart, we can clearly see a shift in trend here. And that is, if we follow the 7-day rolling VWAP, we follow it right there, right? Support, support, support. All right. Let's follow it all the way here. This is one we were trading above. This is where we were trading below. Shift in trend, right? Any pullback is considered to be resistance, right? And then we continue to head lower. Once we find enough time and space above, this was a fake out, by the way. Once we start to find acceptance above, support, support, right? Support. And then now it is starting to show the first signs of weakness where we're actually forming a range below the 7-day rolling VWAP. So for a freshly reminder, we've got the 90-day composite value high here up here as well, right? So in an event, let me make sure that my phone is on silent. So in an event where Bitcoin does in fact try to break above and it rejects at that, remember the 5-week, wait, let me go to the prep, and rejects at the 5-week value area low, confluent with the 9-day composite value area high, and it then trades below the 7-day rolling VWAP, that is enough confirmation for me that I'm like, okay, wait a minute, guys, what is Bitcoin trying to do here? And is it doing actually a good job of that, right? And if it tries to accept above, fails to do so, you can look for that intraday short, for that rotation lower to take out all of these lows into the 90-day rolling VWAP, okay? So that is why I want to be aware of that 7-day rolling VWAP that's capping upside currently. And, there's just a nice batch of confluence there with the upside. We then have the 90-day rolling VWAP. So why do I think the 90-day rolling VWAP is such a good price point right now? It's because from a range perspective, it's, when trading ranges, it's always like, okay, what's Bitcoin gonna do? Is Bitcoin gonna go for the final sweep and then a reclaim to go higher? Or are we going from, let's say if you were to account this as an external liquidity sweep back towards the order block below the 50% range, right? Whatever you're used to trading. Or are we gonna be, forming support at the H4 here before continuation higher? That's always the gimmick, right? What are we going to be doing? In my opinion, if you're sidelined and you want to position for the best possible entry, I'd say this H4 cluster right here, which is now confluent with the 90-day rolling VWAP, that is my make it or break it. Because if Bitcoin does this and then reclaims that low, I think the low is in and we're going to go towards at least the 9-day composite value high and potentially these highs here, right? To show you an example of what I mean and why I think this H4 should hold a support. If we look at previous examples where we had such a cluster form, let's see if we can find any on the chart. For example, right here, right? We break away, we form an H4 down close candle, right? And then even if we go all the way up or here, right? This remains support for continuation higher. Everybody was waiting for that sweep. We didn't get it, right? This was support. And it is until proven otherwise. Same story here, right? We got that break back above previous lows. The first down close candle before another displacement. This remains support. So, you know, if we were to compare that with what we currently have, let's get rid of all of the VWAPs. Otherwise, the chart gets too messy, right? Simply put, Bitcoin needs to hold above here. It's confluent with the previous range high, right? It's the 90-day rolling VWAP. And then bullish confirmation would be show us strength back above previous month VWAP. At that point, I think the low is in. We can pay for the trade here, take some off. But I think the setup itself would be long stop, and we're targeting previous month value high for a higher time frame rotation, right? Because we're going from this pending liquidity, right, towards those equal highs, which are a poor high, by the way, right? Which that's what we said. Poor highs at 118K. These are equal highs here. All right. So rolling VWAP. 7-day rolling VWAP, capping upside. We then have 90-day rolling VWAP that is confluent with H4 demand. Needs to hold in case of puke. So we said a lot. Let's try and summarize everything. As long as Bitcoin. By the way, if you have questions regarding this segment of the stream in terms of the longer term VWAPs, write them down in the chat, okay? I'll be doing the Q&A at the end of the stream. As long as Bitcoin is able to remain above the developing quarter VWAP, confluent with previous month VWAP, we can maintain a bullish bias with a likely destination of 119K. Where the real test will be. Considering the 90-day rolling VWAP slightly below, I will use that as my bullish invalidation heading into next week. My bearish invalidation short term is going to be the 9-day composite value high, and longer term it will be previous month value high. Narrative heading into next week. The ideal long will be at the 90-day rolling VWAP, where Bitcoin rolling VWAP, where Bitcoin sweeps all the lows once more, followed by a strong close. I can't type today. Strong close above the previous month VWAP. For shorts, a harsh rejection at the 9-day composite value high, followed by a close below the 7-day rolling VWAP would be a good intraday short for a move towards the poor lows dash 90-day rolling VWAP. Right, because if we take a quick peek here again on TPO, look, poor lows, naked point of control. The 90-day rolling VWAP somewhere up here. So we definitely have a reason to clean a bunch of these inefficiencies up, okay? Towards below 90-day rolling VWAP. Acceptance, all right. So ideal long will be at the 90 rolling VWAP, or Bitcoin sweeps all the lows once more, followed by a strong close. For shorts, hard 90 close followed by a close below 70 rolling VWAP will be a good short for me if there is one here. Only if we have not swept those poor lows yet, right? In an event where Bitcoin is already fading or already trading below the low. So let's say that we do this. Let's say that we do this, right? Then reclaim it. I'm not going to be looking for shorts anymore up here, right? Because at that point, the reason why I wanted to look for shorts were these anomalies. They have now been rebalanced. And at that point, the only anomalies that remain are naked point of control, poor high, naked point of control, right? So there's no real reason for me to try and fade this move higher if we're getting a clear seller absorption and a reclaim of the previous month VWAP. Towards poor lows, only if you have not swept those poor lows yet. Acceptance above the 9-day composite value high, and Bitcoin likely runs higher into the previous month value high, where the real test will be. Because from a quarterly and a monthly perspective, let me zoom in a bit for you guys, right? We've got a previous month value high around 119. We've got the quarterly developing value high around 119. So if there's going to be one final drive higher, right, this is probably going to be the cap on upside. So if we're getting something like that, right, let's say that we get long down here, reclaim it, I'm mainly going to be targeting that level. Now, acceptance above there, well, that really changes stuff. And I think we're getting like a super bullish quarter four. But we'll see how this develops. So hypos. Long, I would say risky. Will be sweep flat lows once more into previous month VWAP. I will show you on the chart later on how this looks exactly, and reclaim the prior low for longs towards 9-day composite value high and potentially higher. For short, another risky trade, right? There are two really good trades, and these are just riskier than normal. A fail break above 9-day composite value high, followed by close below 7-day rolling VWAP for shorts towards 90-day rolling VWAP, right? Good short. Big sweep of the highs into the previous month value high, followed by bearish structure for shorts towards previous month VWAP. All right, good long. Big sweep of the lows into H4 demand, confluent with 90-day rolling VWAP for longs towards previous month value high. Previous month value high. All right, we're almost there. Bullish line in the sand. What we're looking at: short term, previous month VWAP, long term 90-day rolling VWAP, bearish line in the sand. Short term, I'm gonna do the 9-day composite value, 9-day composite value high. Long term, previous month value high. And that's a wrap. This is it for BTC. So let me just show you what I just said. So the reason why I have one thesis where I'm like, well, this remains right. The range that we're trading within right now. Let me get rid of the crosshair. The range that we're trading within right now is from this low towards that high, right? This is the mean threshold. So we're trading below. We're trading at a discount relative from this low towards that high. This right here is obviously support. But as I've said earlier during the stream, we don't know if this is going to be holding or if we're getting one final sweep, then reclaim and go higher, right? That will be bullish as well. That is why this would have is an A+ for me. And this is basically a B-C trade setup for me where I'm like, okay, I'm putting less size behind this because it's definitely riskier. The other trade would be a sweep of the 9-day, right? Reclaim the 7-day rolling VWAP for shorts towards this low. Why is this also a B and a C trade? It's because we're hovering above a previous month VWAP and a developing quarterly VWAP. So essentially we're trying to capture this rotation lower, and maybe if it's bearish, even lower, right? But we need to understand that if we're getting a setup like that and we then sweep it and then immediately reclaim this, you should not be holding on to that short, right? You should cut the trade and take your profits there, right? If that makes sense. Because if new data is coming in and it's clearly telling us that, okay, well, we're now getting the sweep and reclaiming previous month VWAP, it's an indication that buyers remain interested here and that this is now a CD trade, right? Pre-shitty trade. That is why I think the better trades here is when this is the range, right? And this is the midpoint of that range, considered to be fair value. I want to be trading around an extreme, which is to me above range high as a premium for a potential short reclaim towards all the way previous month VWAP, or if we're trading at a discount relative to this range, reclaim it to get long for a move towards the previous month value high, right? So those are the main trades that I'm looking at with the data that I have today. if new data comes in, you know, we are streaming every day within the Discord. So if new data comes in, we're gonna have a shift in our plan, right? But as everything stands now, these have my preference. So that was the prep on Bitcoin. I'm now gonna go over the chat to see if I missed any questions. If you have any questions regarding the stream, let me know in the chat. If you made it this far, you know, you can support the channel by leaving me a like. Subscribe to the channel because I'm still trying to reach 10k subs. I'm almost at 6,200 subs. So, you know, big milestone for me. I appreciate everybody. And so yeah, let's take a look at the questions. Let's go up. So what makes a naked point of control? Yeah, that's a previous point of control. Yeah, so he already replied to that. Petrion said it really well. So naked point of control is a point of control of a previous session that has not been tagged yet. So as you can see, if we're taking this as an example, right? We've got a point of control there, point of control there, point of control, and then with the next profile, it gets tagged right away, right? So that's a good point of control. But sometimes we don't tag it right away, and that is a naked point of control. For other tickers, I'm always preferring spot. Yeah, breakout trading this is dog shit, right? Good to see you, Hog. All right, so I think those were the questions. So we got a bunch of legends with us today. Not a lot of questions. So yeah, I would like to thank everybody for your time. For the people within Discord, I will see you guys first thing tomorrow morning. And then I will capture you guys later on. Right, take care.